And welcome back to the channel, guys. Thank you for clicking on the video. It means a lot. Today we're going to be ranking at least the first half of the final jurors, or robbed angels, rob goddesses, rob gods, whatever you want to call it. The people who went to the jury the last. So in the final two era, that would be the final three boots, and in the final three era, then that would be the final four boots. So let's get into it really quickly. First, we have Rudy. Everybody loves Rudy. I would say overall, Rudy is a really good character, but not and in that era probably a decent player, considering that he really did, like, his game was set up to win. If he could get to final tribal with Richard, where if Richard didn't throw a challenge and won like he probably would have, he would have had to have taken Rudy to final tribal, which means that Rudy and him would have a really good competition as to who would win. I think Rich probably still wins, but the fact that Rudy had positioned himself in the only alliance in the game, I definitely give him kudos for. But because of the fact that he put himself in an alliance with Richard, didn't have the strategical capacity to understand that Richard was both a jury threat and a strategical threat, I'm gonna have to put him in the B tier. The low B tier, high C tier. We'll go with low B for now, but if I feel like he needs to move down, he will move down. Keith Famey. I think Keith is better than Rudy, in the fact that he not only put himself in the powerful alliance, but he did it earlier than Rudy did. Keith did it in episode 3, I believe, with the Mitchell boot, where Tina, and Colby were able to gain power, and therefore were able to vote out Mitchell instead of the uh, the um, the Amber and uh, Amber and Jerry, like, cohort on that tribe. They were able to gain the power and do the Onion Alliance, but before the name even became popular in Survivor Gabon. And overall, I feel like Keith put himself in a great spot to get to Final Three, where he was pretty much guaranteed to do so. My issue with Keith's game is he beats neither Tina nor Keith, and for that reason, I do have to put Keith right in front of Rudy because of the fact that he did probably have more control over the game. But I can at least give Rudy, the benefit that he beats both Kelly and Sue, while he loses to Richard, which was his most probable thing, and that he made a final two deal with Richard. But the fact that Keith didn't do that is why he's not higher up on the list. Lex. So for Lex, I'm putting Lex at the bottom of S tier. I think Lex is really our first bottom of S tier or top of A tier. That's a tough one. I would say he's bottom of or top of A tier. We'll go with top of A tier now, but if we don't have a lot of S tiers, then we'll move him up. But just looking ahead at like a lot of these final jurors, especially in this first 10, I'm looking at like 3 possible A's and S's, and I don't want to have 4 S's at the end of the first 10, even first 7 seasons. That's not good at all. So for now, I'll put him at top of the A. He's the first person to play a game in which he really was uh, an old lady going on in a immunity streak, and then on top of that, her not taking him. I feel like without that, he was positioned within the him, Big Tom, and Ethan circle where any of them were taking him. Ethan had said so, and I believe Tom was going to too, and he beats either of them in a jury vote probably. And for that reason, and on top of that, he just had so much more control than Rudy or Keith ever had. He was the Rich. He was the Tina of this season, and he's really the first person, in my opinion, to get like that robbed type of label on himself. Kathy. Kathy is above Keith. In fact, I'm gonna move Rudy down to C tier just because I feel like we need to make space in B tier because we're gonna have a lot of B tier people. Kathy, for me, is a really good case of, like, she didn't, like, the whole thing with Nalia saying at Final Tribal, that season, that that she really hadn't started playing until like day 20 what 1 or 27. Kathy hadn't started playing until like day 18 or 19. So she's not much better than Nalia. The only credit that I give to Kathy more than Nalia is that she was trying to flip on the Rotu 4 a lot earlier than Nalia was. I feel like Kathy overall, as soon as the Merchant and her and Boston Rob were able to get together, I feel like she did what she needed to do. I think it was smart of her not to flip right away at the merge and first vote out Boston Rob, because if she had flipped with Boston Rob, Boston Rob probably does what he did in All Stars in this season. But instead, she votes out Boston Rob, um, even though what Boston Rob is saying is right, and that she'll eventually do what Boston Rob says just without him. So she votes out the big threat, and then she flips with a group in which, if it weren't for Vecepia breaking her final two deal, she gets to the end. For me, this like list is all about like how close were you to getting to the end, and what was keeping you from the end of the game. Was it like a challenge win that was like pretty in your favor? Was it a deal that got broken last minute like Kathy and Yowman, or was it like you were just never going to win? And so I feel like for that reason Kathy's going to go high B low A. I think I'll put Kathy in A for now, but it's staying in low A for now. Okay, Jan. I haven't seen this season. I'll be 100% upfront. This is the only season that I haven't seen. I can't rank her game like with all knowledge. From what I understand, everybody on that season sucked except for Brian Heidick. So I would assume her game is a D tier game. I would maybe it's top of D tier. From what I hear, it's not like the worst game. Like she's not going to be the lowest person on this list, unless um yeah, she's got like a little competition, but I'm not looking at much competition here. But she's gonna be fighting for the lowest spot. But from what I hear, people on that season besides Brian just weren't good players. So I'm gonna assume her game was a D tier game. But inform me in the comments, and also tell me if maybe Thailand is worth a watch, because I really do hear that it's an agonizing experience. So let me know. Let me know. Moving on, go from D to an S tier right here. And Rob, plays for in my opinion the first new school game. Everyone says Rich. He's just like, oh my god, Rich that, Rich this. Rich didn't really play a backstabbing type of game, a really new school game, but body type of game. People like Lex didn't really play like that game. Kathy didn't really play that game. Kathy flipped once. Lex never flipped. Rich never flipped. The person who did flip and who really started that the idea of flipping and not getting Cochran, like flipping and it actually working for you, and the people still respecting you, and you not just going out in seventh like Cochran did. Rob started that, and he was one challenge win away from easily beating Matt and having a solid shot at beating Jenna. Although I mean, I think in the end he probably beats Jenna, but it's definitely by one vote, and it could be and he could lose by one vote as well. I think it really is up in the air. And for that reason, I feel like because he was so close to getting to the end, and because he had so much power from basically the Dina vote on, he had a lot of power and used his swap tribe to his advantage. I feel like he did amazing. Johnny Fairplay. Johnny Fairplay is going to go also in the S tier behind Rob Cesternino. I feel like my only issue with Fairplay's game is that Rob's closest ally in Matt, Rob was going to crush Matt. Fairplay's closest ally in Burton was going to crush Fairplay. I feel like Fairplay did exactly what Rob did, slightly worse, as far as like in impressibility, strategic wise. And I feel like he did it with a worse person to do it with. But overall, I mean, obviously, everything that I just said for Rob, aside from those two things, stands for fair play. Again, super innovative gameplay. Um, if I was doing this based off character, I'd probably put fair play over Rob. But if we're doing it based off game and based off how close they did, really come to winning, I feel like Fair Play's game is a little bit worse than Rob's game. Moving on, we have Jenna Lewis. Jenna Lewis, I'm looking at a bottom B tier game for Jenna Lewis. I feel like Jenna's the issue. My issue with Jenna's is like she was in a power position, but she did it with the power couple. See, because it was her, Rupert, and then the power couple. And in that case, I feel like she only wins if she gets to the end with Amber, which is like the least probable outcome. You know that one of those guys is gonna win the last two immunities. Each of them, meaning that she's gonna be in the end with Rob, or she's gonna be in the end with Rupert. And I feel like Rob can beat her, and I feel like Rupert is going to crush her. And I feel like that's not a good alliance to be in. Although I will say, going from the most decimated tribe in the pre-merge back in the day, where tribes like Matt Singh, where the people who surround the tribe and end up doing really well in a day and age where that really didn't happen yet. I think she did a great job integrating herself into the power. It's just that the power wasn't the power that you wanted to be aligned with. I feel like if her and Rupert could have flipped on Robin and Amber with Lex and Kathy, we would have had a hell of a season, and they could have done it with Big Tom as well, because Big Tom and Lex had a pregame deal. I feel like Jenna had power. She just had it with the wrong people. Similar to like Laurel and Jonathan in Ghost Island, where they align with power. They did a good job, being in the minority like alliance, but then switching, and getting integrated within the majority alliance. But they just did it with the wrong people. Similar to Laurel and Don. All right, Scout. Scout, for me, Scout is a high B tier game. I feel like Scout played fantastic. I feel like Scout flipped when she needed to flip. She did the right thing by aligning with Amy and all of the girls pre-merge. I do think that she got tagged along with Twyla, and Twyla was really isolated from the girls. And I feel like if she hadn't flipped, she would have been her and Twyla would have gotten taken out at probably fifth and fourth, leaving Leanne, Julie, and Amy at final three. But I do feel like Scout overall, because she knows when to flip. Um, I think she plays a very decent game. My issue is that the only person that she beats in that post merge, in that post jury, is probably Twyla, her alliance mate. Which good on her for aligning with a person who she can beat. But she had to have known that if that when her and Twyla get to final three with whoever else, that whoever else is going to win final immunity and take Twyla. So I feel like she had set herself up for a final juror Rob goddess type of game, and that's not a game that you usually set yourself up with. But because she was basically guaranteed final three as long as she flipped when she needed to flip, and the fact that she did that when she needed to do that, I feel like that's impressive enough to where I can acknowledge the fact that her game was good enough. Last one for this part. I think originally I was gonna do the first 20 seasons and then do the second 20 seasons. I think what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna do split this up into four parts. So I'm gonna do 1 through 10, 11 through 20, 21 through 30, and then 31 through 40. Maybe I'll do like the second half in one part, but yeah, no, I'm pretty much set on doing four parts for this. This is a lot to record, so I'll probably record the first two parts now and then drop these both back to back daily, meaning one uh, it'll be one dropping on Tuesday night and one dropping on Wednesday night. Okay, and last one we have Ian. Ian's game for me is again a high B. I feel like again similar issues with Scout's game. Although I do think Ian has the benefit of the doubt in the fact that Tom was going to bring him to the end. So he wasn't playing for a second place finish like Scout was playing. Or sorry, he wasn't playing for a third place finish like Scout was. He was playing for a second place finish because Tom was going to take him to the end, just like But I feel like he was playing for a second place finish because Tom was going to crush him if he got to the end. The jury vote, if it's a jury of seven, it probably goes 5-2 with Katie voting for him. And aside from that, I can't see many other people voting for him. I feel like he was always playing for second, and that when he tried to flip on Tom, he couldn't get anything going seriously, and that's an issue for me with this game. Although everything that I just said with Scout, he aligned with the majority pre-merge. He had set himself up so that if he flipped at the right time, that he was like really set to win. For him, flipping was voting out Jen and Greg, and then he was guaranteed almost to his spot, which in this case is final two. Just like for Scout, it was final three. But after that, I don't see a clear path to the end unless he blindsides Tom, which he couldn't do. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching my video. It means so much to me that you guys are clicking on videos. What do you want me to do next after the series is over? These videos will drop part 1 Tuesday, July 20th, part 2 Wednesday, 21st, part 3 Thursday, 22nd, and part 4 is Friday. Yeah, Friday, the 23rd. So get ready for those, guys. What do you think I'm gonna rank for the 21st to 20th section? What's your favorite final juror from this section? Let me know. 81% of you guys who are watching this video are now subscribed. That's an absolute travesty. Let's change it. It's easy and it's free. And if that's it, thank you for watching.